Must be. Hi, folks. This is Jim again. I wanted to show you a few things here. I just recently sold a fender off eBay. It's a fender that fits a MR2, and what it was I don't know if you can see this, but that's my in my sold file right there. $89 for a fender plus $20 to have it delivered. And what happened was I actually, there's a junkyard that I go to around my house, and I was in there looking for something. I can't remember what it was, but they actually had an MR2, Toyota MR2, and it's extraordinarily rare to have an MR2 in a junkyard. Now, back in the day, when I had my MR2s, I've had a couple of them. That's a picture of one of them right there. But back in the day, and I needed parts for an MR2, they were very hard to come by. In fact, I remember I needed something, and I did an internet search, and the closest MR2 that I could come up with was in a junkyard was in Cincinnati. And of course, me being a Lansing, it really didn't work out for me. I can't remember what part I needed, but that was the only source that I could find that I could get that part used out of a junkyard. The MR2s, they did not make that many of them. They were a low volume seller. So the MR2s that I'm talking about were from like 1990 to 1995. And, that being over 25 years ago, it was rare. There was an unusual car at that time when they're brand new, but 25 years later, they're even more rare. And so I came across this MR2, and I pulled a couple parts off. I was there late. Plenty of people were there before me. This car was pretty well picked over. There was not much left. But I grabbed some things. And the first day that I was there, I had a pile of parts, which included a fender that did sell on eBay for $89. And fenders in junkyards, you're paying about $35 for a fender. So that fender did go for $89 plus $28 in shipping, and then minus the fees and the eBay fees. But that particular day, the first time I went to pick off that car, my pile of parts, I'm up in my barn. My pile of parts that I got here, all this stuff, which included a fender and two of these T-tops, two of these T-top shades, I haven't cleaned it yet, and all this other stuff, it was about $120 for everything. So I did get most of my money back when I did sell. So I just got a little bit of money left, in here, but you see what was left by the time I got there was a bunch of plastic trim for the interior, a plastic. This is a dash vent, and then these go around the engine housing. I've got this part here. It's a dash vent, and I got a the spare set with the jack and the tools for that, and I got two of these T-tops plus two of these shades. Right now on eBay, I have these two T-tops listed for $150. And when I get around to listing these things right here, I'm going to ask about $20 a piece for those. There is a lot of money in used car parts. The evidence of that, you see it every day. We drive down the street, you see an O'Reilly, you see an AutoZone, and Advance Auto, and all those places. I mean, I think AutoZone has like 6,000 stores nationwide. O'Reilly, I don't know the quantity. I know that's the family-run company out of Springfield, Illinois. But there are a lot of money in car parts. And I just happened to come across this MR2. I was looking for something else. So actually, I went back a second time to pick up a couple more items. And when I went back, I picked up this trunk for MR2. Now, the interesting thing about these parts is in the market, if you have a MR2 from 1990 to 1995, there are virtually no aftermarket parts for these. I mean, you can buy a battery or a set of brakes or a set of tires for these things, but none of this stuff is being aftermarket manufactured. There was just not enough of these cars sold originally to warrant anybody, reproducing these parts. And so if you have an MR2 and you need something, you've got some kind of defect in your car or a flaw, you have to go into the clubs, you have to go to the forums, you have to look around the internet in order to get the stuff because, like this trunk, that trunk's not made anywhere at all. And this hinge, you can tell it's kind of a specialty hinge. That's not made anywhere. Excuse me. You've got to get this stuff from somebody that's got it, off a parts car. And every year that goes by, this is a 25-year-old car. Every year that goes by, through attrition, these MR2s are disappearing. Every year, 40, 50 of them disappear, where they get totaled out, accidents. So as time goes by, there's less and less of these cars out there, and then nobody is making these parts. Now, what's happened, went back in the day when I had my 2 or 3 MR2s, maybe 4, I can't remember. I had a couple of these MR2s. Back in the day, I was buying the car for about $3,000. I know I paid $2,800 for one. I paid $3,000 for one. I went to, I got the $3,000 one out of Ann Arbor. I went to Milwaukee. I got a black one that needed a transmission. I paid $2,200 for that. Dragged it home, sold it. And then, the $2,800 one, it was a green one. I got it up by Flint, Michigan. And then there was 1 or 2 other ones I'm kind of forgetting about. I went to St. Paul, Minnesota, and bought a red MR2 Turbo, and that was about $3,500 way back then. So way back then, when I was playing with these cars, they were $3,000. But as time marches on and these cars disappear, the value goes up. Now, since I came across all these parts, I kind of started looking again on the internet about these cars. And it is more common now that people are listing MR2s between 6 and 10 or 12. But these are cars with high mileage. I mean, enough years have gone by that these cars have 200,000 miles on them. I went and got, down by Cincinnati, I got a red MR2. So I've had maybe 5 of them, not remembered. But the market, these are starting to become the collectible, hard to find cars. And to the point where, there's a few people out there that have the crazy price of like 20 grand on these cars. But these are the cars that might have 50,000 miles on them, not 200. They might be a 1 owner or 2 owner and a car that's been garaged. So they're virtually like new. And these cars are starting to near the $20,000 mark. And so what happens, why these parts are important, all this little plastic stuff, this miscellaneous stuff I got, is because, like, if you got one of these cars and it's got, some defects, if 1, 2, 5, 10, 9 defects, flaws in your car, and if you got a car that maybe you paid 10 grand for, but it's got 9 things wrong with it, if you go through and you fix all those items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, every time you fix something, your car becomes more valuable. So, little, plastic, all these plastic parts here, what do we know about plastic? They do break as age go by. They, heat, dry out, car parks in sun. Some of the stuff disappears out of the plastic. It's not so flexible. But so here it is. If you got one of these MR2s with 4, 5, 6 flaws in it, and you want to fix those flaws, so that you can get your car up to the mark where everybody else is. There is no place that you can go except ordering things from people that have original parts off the internet. The real things. These are not duplicates. These are all Toyota parts. This stuff is just not available. So I've made my money back already on the fender pretty much. I'm just within a few dollars getting my investment back. This time I went back and I got the trunk and one or two other things. It was $23. This stuff, all this stuff here, including the fender, was about $123. So I've got $150 on all this stuff. But this is stuff that nobody can get unless you go on the internet and buy it from somebody like me that's kind of picked this stuff and storing it. So that's why I think it's valuable. And I'll have some more videos for you as time comes along. I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. I guess what happens if you ring the bell, every time I post something, you get notified. And, if you like the video or if you comment, it helps the algorithm. So there's more to say, but I can't remember. Talk to you later.